Hi, this is Cole Spivey with Drive Film Productions of Texas. So I wanted to talk about Christianity and David Lynch. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I'm watching the first part of Twin Peaks Return. David Lynch has been claimed as a cult following, or David Lynch, his work is known as cultish, or that he's in a cult. And I really don't, I've met the guy, and there's no real, if you really follow him around, there's no cult activity. He's just a filmmaker and an artist. He was a painter in Philadelphia. So the church doesn't really know exactly what a cult is. If they would go back a long time ago, they referred to Christianity as a cult in the Roman days, when the Romans despised Christians and fed them to the lions. And the word Roman candle came from the fact that when a Christian was martyred because they felt they were in a cult, that they were burned alive, and that's where Roman candle came from. So there was a time when they looked at Christianity as a cult, and this is basically, like, I would say, even during Christ's time, I think he died at 33, so it's probably 33 AD or so, and around that time, it was seen as a cult to the society of that time of Romans, and of course the Jewish society did not like Christianity. Most churches and stuff like that, they don't really like David Lynch. They see him as a cult, and he has created what's known as cult classics. Eraserhead being one of the first films that he created to be a cult classic film of his genre, of Lynchian genre. Now, I think the one thing that makes the church mad, especially Christianity, and I would probably say not as much as Catholicism, because the Catholic Church has accepted Martin Scorsese. The Catholic Church never accepted Fellini. So the Catholic Church did not accept Fellini. Actually, they excommunicated Fellini. But the Catholic Church did accept Martin Scorsese. Now, when we look at the Protestant and we think of David Lynch, I don't know if he's accepted, but I do know that many of them do not like him, and they see him as a cult figure. Uh, I don't. I don't think there's any cult figure about David Lynch. I don't think he's like David Koresh or anything like that. I don't think there's any type of cult aspect to him. I do think he is an artist. And he's a painter, and I do think he was a painter from Philadelphia. I know that he went through AFI, and he eventually made Eraserhead, which led to most all the films that he's made, even all the way to Showtime's Twin Peaks Return, which is the second season of Twin Peaks. I think the one thing that makes the Christian church, because many of the Christian churches are actually serving Satan, and many of the Christian churches are like little cults. A lot of them are. Even on the Protestant side, even the Catholic, and the Protestant will say the Catholic are a cult, and the Catholic will say the Protestants are a cult or something similar or whatever. The reason why is because Satan will go after the Word of God. And I've even heard in some aspects that David Lynch reads the Bible. In an interview, I heard him talk about demons and things like that in the Bible. So let me wrap this up real quick. What I really wanted to say was that I think he is an artist, and that I think he's presenting something new. And in the Bible, there says that there's nothing new under the sun. That's Old Testament, more Jewish kind of thing. Okay, Jewish Old Testament Torah kind of thing. Nothing new under the sun. But we have to look at Christianity as being a new covenant. Okay, being that of the new. So when we see something new, we realize that there is something new in the sun. Well, Jesus Christ was something new. He came and started a new covenant. He wasn't just always around in where we were. He did. There was a time when he was born, and then he was crucified, and all that kind of stuff. So with David Lynch, what I'm basically trying to say is that the church probably sees this as something new, and that scares them, because they're into ritualistic thing. They're into rituals, doing the same thing. The Old Testament, they're almost like what the Jewish people were. And what was one thing about Jesus was that the Jews at that time, they were expecting this Messiah to come. In a way, they expected the Messiah to come as this new God or whatever that was powerful. It was going to come from the chariot in the sky, and he was going to rule over all the lands like a great king. And what made them mad, what made the Jewish people mad, was that he came as a lowly person, that he came as from this shepherd family, very poor, and that he kind of rose up in a way until he was crucified. He was always pretty much poor, but he represented the poverty-stricken or the poor class. He was almost kind of like a homeless guy a little bit, but he was led around by these 12 disciples, and this was a new thing that was happening. So they crucified him and threatened by him. So the thing is about David Lynch is that he has presented a new kind of cult classic in film, and that scares establishments, okay? And it definitely scares the church because they don't understand it, because it's new. It's something new. It's not their old thing that they can understand. And the sad thing about Christianity is it's becoming like the Jewish people. We're looking for this Messiah to come in the sky, just like the Jews were looking for this Messiah to come from the sky, this great king. And if he comes back, what about he is lowly? What about he is common day? The thing is that there are things that are new. Not everything's common. And sometimes the church, when they see something different and new and eccentric, they are offended because it breaks that law of the Old Testament that there is nothing new under the sun. But believe me this, there is new things under the sun. Don't believe everything you read.